Yeah.
Now, county championship wrap before we get to the IPL. We should start this with the story. Is it a story? Is it a rumour? Is it a case of wishful thinking of Middlesex saying, Virat Kohli, you've retired from Test cricket, you should come and play for us? Is this credible in any way?
Oh, it's a belter of a yarn. I reckon, Ali, this is really clever journalism from a great mate of the show, Ali Martin, who's the cricket correspondent at The Guardian. So the quote from Middlesex is, Virat Kohli is the most iconic player of his generation. So, of course, we're interested in having that conversation. I mean, I'm keen on playing centre-half forward for Hawthorn, right? It's improbable. It ain't going to happen. And I would imagine that Kohli's interest in playing for a Division 2 county in September this year is limited, but the idea that they are interested in him is the story here. I doubt Kohli even knows about Middlesex. All 18 counties would have said a similar.
He probably doesn't know what it is.
Yeah, well, he lives in Notting Hill, so that's the one bit in all of this. That the fact that he lives local to Lords is relevant to this, and he's got a long relationship with the ground. Absolutely. So the premise of the article is about Middlesex, but if you wanted to go to the other side of it, you can see why he might want to, scratch that Lord's itch and play a few games there.
Why would a guy who's retired from Test cricket say, I would now like to play a different kind of red ball cricket that's not as good?
Yeah, again, I don't think this is about Kohli. This is about Middlesex, and that's why it's clever, because it makes headlines around the world, doesn't it? And that's why it's good journalism, because it provides an insight to how desperate any county would be to sign Kohli under any circumstances. I'll give you a scenario. They're scheduled to play an away game. I think it's Derby in that run. You would get, you know that ground as well, Jeff. I think it holds 5,000 people. At
a pinch.
You might get 50,000 people outside if Kohli were legitimately playing a 4-day game.
Was it the AAA ground at Derby? Was it the old?
You would set records. You would set extraordinary attendance records, no matter where he were to play.
It's the one with the hotel next door, the Premier Inn next door, isn't it? So you get people booking out the rooms on the top floor of the Premier Inn so they could stare through the smeary windows to try to watch him play in the middle.
Absolutely. So it's a fun story. I would imagine that the first Kohli heard of it was when he clicked on the yarn. It provided a good laugh during the county round that that this has become a bit of a story, and well played again, Ali, for thinking about asking Middlesex, because it makes sense, right? Ask the club that's got the history with the ground at Lords and him living local in Notting Hill and all that type of thing. One other very, very quick one before we get into the wrap. A bunch of county players didn't play in the championship this week. They played against Zim in a county club select 11. And Zimbabwe got turned over by them as well. So the side was led by Josh De Cares, who is the son of Mike Atherton, as I suspect most people who listen to this show know. He top scored with 79 as well. So for Zim, they got something out of it. Brian Bennett, Sean Williams, Wesley Medavere all made 50s, but then the county lads went big the second time. They made over 450 declared. Dan Mosley, who Daniel and I have debated on commentary whether he might want to start describing himself as Mousley rather than Mosley for obvious reasons. And Tom Rue, who is meant to be the better Rue, the prodigy thing, got 103 not out. They got through to the end of that, losing by 138 runs, and they will be playing, of course, this week at Trent Bridge against England. And
James Rue's in the Test squad as well.
Yeah, so
he came in with Jordan Cox out.
That's right. Yeah, so he's in the squad. So, But I tell you what, Jeff, this county championship season is a cracker. You can, it's the perfect weather. The round that's just been, everything you would want at this time of year. Every team was playing. No one had the bye. Penultimate weekend of county cricket before they go off the white ball stuff. And in Division 1, you can throw a blanket over them. There are so many teams near enough to the top of the list. I think if you use sort of footy speak, 7 teams are within top spot, within a game of top spot, if you accept the game as the maximum amount of points you can earn from it as a 24-pointer. So, yeah, and that's all in part, all thanks to Durham getting the job done against Notts at Chestella Street yesterday. This was a belter of a game. So, Jeff, Notts got 407 on day one. Haseeb Ahmed carried his bat for 206 of those. He was averaging 117 this season after that innings, the Notts captain. Better still, his strike rate in the innings was 85. So when he got back into the Test squad in 2021, it was after he'd faced the most number of balls in a county championship match ever. He was sheet anchoring and doing it well. He's shifted a gear, more than a gear, multiple gears, to be striking at that. The county championship Instagram page did a compilation of every boundary. It was amazing. It was remarkable how beautifully he was striking the ball. It wasn't the Hasiba Mead that you might remember from earlier iterations. He was playing on drives like Lakshman in 2004, like at the SCG kind of vibes. It was brilliant. So 28 years of age.
Durham quite have the same.
Yeah, well, Durham's attack pretty bloody strong. It's probably stronger than the attack that Australia put out on the park that week in Sydney that I'm referring to in 2004, when they had a lot of bowlers injured, McGrath and Warne out of the team, etc. But just on Hamid, Bracken played that week. But I'm just making the point that at 28, he's permitted to get better. Similar to what we said about Dom Sibley. Let's see whether he gets another chance for England soon. Durham went big in reply, though. They made 664 centuries for Emilio Gay, Oliver Robinson, as we refer to him on the show, the other Oliver.
A good one.
And Graham Clark. Alex Lees made an 80-odd. James Minto was opening the batting. This is the bloke who put Rory Burns on his ass last year as a 16-year-old tear-away fast bowler. Now he's opening the batting as well, which is just perfect county cricket areas. He made 67.
If Rayan Ahmed can do it, so can he.
A lot of that in the comp this year. Lots of makeshift opening. We'll come to a bit more of it soon. But Notts had a long time to bat in their second dig still, and they looked like they were going to hold on and draw the thing. Like they were batting comfortably. Joe Clark was beyond 100. They had about a session to go and 5 wickets in hand and a relatively healthy lead of 60 or 70. From there, you were drawing that like 95 times out of 100. But no, after tea, Durham rolled through them and left themselves 91 to get in 17 overs. And there was a wobble at the start. They lost 2 wickets at the beginning, and Colin Ackerman was dropped it behind the wicket on naught. But then Ackerman went nuts and made 53 not out in a hurry. And it meant they got the runs with 10 balls to spare. What a finish. They leap into 4th and not stay on top, but they've had their lead reduced just 3 points. So that was an important framing game, because it means that means Notts haven't got away from everyone else, and they all feel rather grouped together.
Everyone's still in it, and Colin Ackerman, who's done that job for the Dutch a number of times, those kind of chase situations where he's someone who can hang in there.
Yep. Surrey rolled out the classic Surrey model to get their second home win in the space of a few weeks. So their second win of the season. That was against Yorkshire. It was the TV game as well, so added emphasis. So what happened there was the IPL wasn't running, so they sent Sky to us and they augmented our feed, which was awesome. So we had Wardy and Butch with us for a couple of days. Well, Wardy the whole way through, which was cool, having having some extra attention to the stream that we make at Surrey each week. But Yorkshire out, as Surrey do all the time. They bowled first. They got knocked off the oppo inside a day. Yorkshire all out 255. Bairstow 89, but Jordan Clark and co were just too strong with the ball. A couple of wickets for Dan Lawrence as well. Surrey were then 46 for none overnight. Same old, same old. They use that as the platform. They get 512. No century for Curtis Patterson, Jeff, but he batted so well for 85 on his Surrey debut. So, yes, the dream is alive.
Should have played last week. Where was he?
Alive. Bloody good question. Why didn't he play last week? He would have got a shitload on that flat track. But 50s for Clark, another 86 for Folks, who's leading the averages around the country, I'm pretty sure.
Who knew? Ben Folks, good at cricket.
Going really, really well, averaging in the mid-80s. And their lowest score in the innings was 15, which is one of those anomalies when no one got 100, but no one missed out either. George Hill was super impressive, 5 for 66. We've been talking a lot about him swinging it both ways and providing a real option. He often opens the batting for Yorkshire as well, so he's a bowler of some class and pedigree. But Yorkshire eventually folded. They had some runs from James Wharton, but some reverse swing from Tom Laws, who's becoming known for that at the Oval, and they finished it off inside an hour on the 4th day to move into second spot with their second win. So Surrey are looming. They are looming.
They're always looming. We're tired of this show. We've seen enough. I don't want another season, the same old same program.
Hampshire super impressive to beat Warwickshire by 89 runs. They needed this after a couple of missed opportunities in the last fortnight. I won't do great detail on this game. I will tell you, though, that guess who? Kyle Abbott, 5 for 47. He's taken 31 wickets at 16 this season, Kyle Abbott, leading the country for wickets. As it happens, I've also taken 31 wickets at 16 this year, but his are probably more important than mine. None on Sunday, though. Quick segue. On Sunday, Jeff, ODB, we rolled out Oppo outright inside a day. So we bowled them out for 76. We got 100 and something declared. I declared about 100 ahead. Then we bowled them out again, had 60 to chase in 6 overs in the final hour, and got it with 5 balls to spare. So patron of the show, Patrick Hargraves, the great strappy, took 8 wickets in the day, which he'll be talking about forever, I suspect. Anyway, and our Abbott interview made a few headlines too. Forgot to mention this, but the stuff about Sonny Baker and not liking rest and rotation and thinking that from the Kyle Abbott school, you get fit, you stay fit, you bowl, you play cricket. And, it's probably not that popular a view these days, but that's how Kyle Abbott sees the world, and he's led Hampshire into 5th spot with that fifer here. Sussex have fallen away, unfortunately. They are playing Hampshire in this coming week, but they were defeated by 5 wickets by Somerset. Of note down there, Somerset flipped the batting order because it was a green top, not completely flipped it, but, they opened with Lewis Gregory, who normally bats 7, and Josh Davey, who normally bats like 9. And it didn't quite work, but it did mean that Archie Vaughan came in at number 7 instead of opening and got his best score of the year with an 80. And they were able to bowl out Sussex cheaply twice, having them follow on, and they chased 150 odd pretty easily with Lewis Gregory getting 89 not out, opening again. And lastly, in Division 1, a massive win for Worcestershire, bottom of the table, and they've thumped Essex by 225 runs at home, which is a nice thing, given that you would expect Essex to be right towards the top. Well, they've been knocked over by the cellar dwellers, and Essex are now, they're down towards the bottom of that group of 7 that I referred to before, the G7, if you like. And in that game, Matt Waite took 3 for after making 70 odd, and then took 6 for 19 in the second dig. An extraordinary individual performance to get Worcester the points, which means that Notts are ahead of Surrey, then Warwickshire and Durham and Hampshire and Sussex, and on it goes. This weekend, Durham have got Somerset, Hampshire have got Sussex, Surrey have got Essex. Worcester are hosting Warwickshire, and Yorkshire are hosting Notts, and it's the Red Ball Festival at the Oval if you want to get down there. Surrey broke the record for the 21st century at the Oval this week with more than 15,000 people there. They're trying to better that in their celebration of Red Ball cricket this week. So get along to the Oval this weekend to watch Surrey up against Essex. And
it's helpful for Worcestershire when their ground is not underwater. That's a good start when it comes to beating teams. Now, look, my interests in county championship can be erratic. They can be fleeting. There are short enthusiasms. There's Glamorgan / Gloucestershire, can't tell them apart from time to time. There's the bit with the freaks. This season, it's becoming more and more Leicestershire.
Yeah.
This is where the never been promoted bit got my attention, thanks to Day Day, our listener, who photoshopped that poster, the Reese Witherspoon Never Been Kissed poster with Peter Hanscom's face on it. It was horrendous. I see it in my nightmares, but the job was done. The list of Leicestershire players replacing the cast members, the detail was there. They've done well. They've done well again.
Well, it's their first win at Lords for 45 years, Jeff. In 45 years. That's an extraordinary achievement. And it was made possible by knocking over Middlesex for 232 on day 1. Ian Holland is the signing of the summer, coming over from Hampshire. Takes a new ball, bats where they need him. Cricket superstar. He's a triple threat. 5 for 35, swinging it around corners. Leicestershire got a first innings lead thanks to Pete Hanscom, playing at his old home ground at Lords. Love to see that. Hanscom 87. Middlesex skittled cheaply in the second innings, which left Leicester only 102, and they got it 3 down. Hanscom there at the end. They are leading by a mile. They are ahead in Division 2 by 30 points, and they're in the promotion spots by 40 points. That's a huge buffer with 1 round to go before the break. So well played to Pete Hanscom and co. And they play Lancashire this week at home, which is an opportunity for Leicestershire. 1 more home game. Lanc's not doing that well. They didn't get a win over Derbyshire at home, which they kind of needed. Lancs went big first time around. Bit out of this you'll appreciate, Jeff. Marcus Harris, who's now the captain. He's taken over from Keaton Jennings, who pulled out last week. So we wish Keaton well in being the senior pro there. But Marcus Harris, who they've both been on the show recently, of course, takes over the armband. He made 41 on day 1. We were all urging him to go big because he's creeping up. Well, spoiler alert, he fails in the second dig, sadly, but he's on 795 runs with one more game before the end of May. So he could do it.
He needs big haul.
Yeah, he probably needed 100 this week to be within striking distance, but who would doubt it with the prolific Marcus Harris, now the captain at Old Trafford. So Lancs 458, ton for Wells, Derby 314. Jimmy Anderson playing for the first time again in a long time. Got Caleb Jewell, the Australian, with an absolute beauty that splayed middle and off, the type of ball, Jeff, that we've seen Jimmy bowl a million times before. One of 3 wickets in the first innings. And then after Lancashire set the game up, he got to bowl again. They didn't get all 10, though. They were chasing 329 and they were stalled at 8 down, 8 for 220 when they shook hands at the end of the day. I love this from their number 10 and number 11. Jack Morley, 36 balls for 0. And Ben Aitchison, 21 balls for 0, taking absolutely no chances for Derbyshire. And Jimmy picked up a couple more. So 5 wickets in his return. And Derbyshire
stuff.
And Derbyshire stay second. So it's a story about Leicestershire, but another unfashionable county, to use that term. Derbyshire in second spot.
They're pretty much all unfashionable in Divi too. Gloucestershire are pretty unfashionable. I did follow this game a bit because of the Cameron Green bit that you mentioned earlier, the 100 in the first innings and then that 60 in the chase when they were looking like falling over. So 2 different types of innings, I suppose, that stand him in good stead. And they got that small chase done 7 wickets down against Kent.
Yep. The only thing to note from that is the Italian stallion Grant Stewart, who plays for the Italian national team, made 182, batting down at number 8 for Kent, which is quite unusual. But yeah, it became the Cameron Green show thereafter. James Bracey made a century for Gloucestershire as well, a player who we've always kept a bit of an attention, kept plenty of attention on since his brief test stint 4 years ago. And Glamorgan storm into third, beating Northants comfortably in the end at Cardiff. They rolled Northants for 185 and 304 between times. They made 424 of their own. Marnus missing out in both innings. And Sam Northeast was there at the end for an 8-wicket win, 27 not out. So Glamorgan behind Derbyshire and Leicestershire in the race for promotion in Division 2. So all told, a very busy weekend of county cricket, and it's been a great season. So long may it continue in this form. There's still chat about it being reduced to 12 games next year. Fuck that, 14 games forever. I know I sound a bit old school in saying that, but this is the best of the season at the moment as far as domestic cricket is concerned.
You know that if it is reduced to 12, it'll keep being at the fringes of the season, and so you'll miss out on these bits where the weather is nicer and people are happier to be at those games. And the in the women's domestic stuff, the FA Cup, as we're thinking of it at the moment, where everybody's involved, anybody, the little battlers, the miracle on ice or the miracle on grass or whatever it might be, can threaten the big dogs.
Yeah, and this is a new thing. This is an ECB initiative to have all of the 3 tiers represented in one T20 tournament, separate to the One Day Cup, which is in 2 tiers, separate to the Blast, which is also broken off into 2 tiers. This is everyone drawn against each other, and there was a graduated process of coming into the comp. So the minor counties played, the Tier 3 counties, my apologies, played in the first round, which are all minor counties, by the by, but still. There's often chat, this is the way the 50-over trophy will go in England for the men, that they'll play all the minor counties, all the 18 first-class counties all thrown in together. We'll see. But, this worked okay. There's been no major upsets. We've decided, by the way, across the podcast community, we're not going to call them the Blaze. They played Oxford, right? Oxfordshire, Warwickshire beat Devon. So there's a bit of that going on over the weekend. No major upsets, but, Yorkshire are a Tier 2 county at the moment. They beat Essex, who are in Tier 1. So there's a few Tier 2 teams who've made it to the next round. And that's been spliced in, a T20 round, around another 2 rounds of the One Day Cup. So I won't go through all of that. I'll just simply note that in the One Day Cup, this is via Hypercourse, there have been 2.5 million views already on the live streams for the One Day Cup. That's in 31 games. And you compare that to last year, there were 58 games of the Rachel Hayhoe Flint, which had 2.2 million views. So, more than double on average per game. And I think what we learn here is that this was definitely the right decision, aligning these women's team to the counties, because there's existing buy-in. You are more inclined to watch a team play on the stream or take an active interest if you are already following the men's team or have a relationship with the men's county. So
if you are a Blaze fan, you will watch that team play as Nottinghamshire. But if you're a Nottinghamshire fan, you may not watch the Blaze.
That's it. Which is why they should be called Knots. And Jeff, that's the domestic wrap. Well, at least as far as England is concerned, there's one more domestic tournament to talk about. That's the one that's playing out in India. So anything further to add?
Let's do it. No, I'm done. I'm out of here. I'll see you later.
All I'll say on the way out before we say goodbye to you, back from where we started, Jeff's running 10K on Saturday, and that is not for nothing. If for no other reason, it's supporting the kids, but also supporting Jeff for remembering this isn't Jeff's,
I hate it. I hate it so
Jeff's
much.
thing.
I did one last week just to make sure I could do it, and it is awful. It is like one of the worst feelings
you're going to have to iron
in my life.
You're going to have to iron. I've got your running shirt at my place, which you've sent through, your singlet. You're going to have to iron Jeff on there as well before, so people can cheer your name when you're running past and all that.
Two things I hate, ironing and running. Two of my least preferred activities.
I'll ask if Rach can iron your letters on before we go. We'll see if she's nice.
If I've come this far, I might as well do it. But yeah.
That's all on the weekend. That's for the Lord's Tabs. Please donate. That's our parting thoughts as we hand over to a segment recorded earlier with myself and Ben Jones on the IPL.